heard being a Black woman going through infertility, the stereotype is that we're hyperfertile. On the flip side, you always have the aunt who took care of everyone else's children who never really had children of her own. Being diagnosed with PCOS was something that I thought was, pretty common in Black women, but nobody talks about it. I didn't even know what PCOS was, to be honest, until I was diagnosed with it and I had to Google it. You think to yourself, like, I've always heard that we were super fertile. Like, I must be the only unicorn out here who is not hyperfertile. Is usually, a rich white woman is the face of infertility, the most popular page on Instagram. You won't find that many people of color. That's also why I really wanted to speak out about it. We suffer at higher rates from these diseases that tend to cause the most infertility. We're married.
Did it.
I met my husband in college. We both attended Georgia Tech down here in Atlanta. I was 27 when we started trying, and we thought we'd come off birth control and be able to just move on in the natural progression, like everybody tells you and you see on TV all the time. But that wasn't the case.
How do you feel about the appointment?
Good, babe. I'm gonna get great news, and hey, we'll just take it as it comes.
When we learned that IVF was the natural progression, by the time that was actually on the table, we were ready. We were just ready to get off of the infertility train. For my husband, he was always my biggest cheerleader. He was always there to be like, well, what if it goes right? So let's focus on that. When I saw the 2 lines that led to my son, it was definitely a disbelief. It was maybe 4 or 5 days after the transfer, and they always tell you not to test early, but I'm a rebel like that. So I took it and I was like, there's no way. It was a super splinter, So then I left it alone and went downstairs, and then it kept calling me from the downstairs, like, maybe go look at this. And I was like seeing a line and I was like, do I tell anybody? I don't think I'll tell anybody yet. I was just in shock at that point that we had been, especially 2018 was such a tumultuous year for my husband and I that I couldn't believe it. So I kept the pregnancy tests. I still actually might have them to this day. And I took pictures of them. I did the whole writing down the days past transfer and the date, and if I took it in the morning or if I took it in the evening. And I don't think it really even hit me until we saw him on ultrasound. Like, okay, there's somebody in there. When I first met my son, I think it was surreal. When they held him up, I was just like, wow. I think it's important for me to use my voice and spread awareness and advocate for other people who look like me and people who don't even look like me, that this is something that everyone goes through and it's okay. So I started sharing my story. I was shocked about the number of people who were also in my life and around me who came out and said, hey, I went through this too, or I'm going through this too. I just never talked about it. I didn't know anybody who looked like me who was going through it. You never know who your story might help.